Okay, folks, it's time to get to one of the big ones tonight. It's category number 8. And this category is for favorite guest of the year. Now, this show has a lot of guests on it, like a lot of guests, pretty much every single time. And somebody that helps me get these guests is my one and only co-producer of Truth Wanted, Greg James. Greg, come on down.
No. I said, look, I don't care what he says. Matt Dillahunty can kiss my... I'll get back to you. Sorry about that. Hello there. As the executive producer of the ACA and the co-producer of Truth Wanted, it is my job to ensure that we have the top quality guests that you have all come to expect from the ACA. And I may say that we've done a hell of a job this year finding those guests. The nominees in the category of favorite guest are
Christian news outlets,
Hemant Mehta,
or at least commentary or blogging outlets that I see. So I try really hard to say, look, if you are a Christian, let's assume you are, and you're reading what I have to say, and you're reading it because you're hate reading it because you want to be angry about whatever I'm writing,
right?
Fine. But here's where I'm getting this stuff from. Here's who I'm quoting. You don't believe that I'm quoting them accurately? Here's the transcript and here's the video for you. And so you said, do I get flack for any of this? I actually don't think I do.
I mean, John Delancey.
I really agree with you. I don't know why there's a need for that. You know, not only must I believe, but I must believe what you believe, and or you must believe what I believe. I mean, it's really unfortunate. The best way I see to counteract it is to just call it out for what it is, and to show the hypocrisy and the need for power and how it's abused in many instances.
Religion.
Seth Andrews.
What should I sort of take a new look at, And before I knew it, I realized that I'd gone from a Fox News Christian to somebody who sort of stood on the other side on so many issues. Now I'm a proud liberal,
Right.
And more importantly, I'm a humanist. And I think quite often I find that being a liberal is a reflection of the fact that I'm more interested in trying to help other people. I'm less tribal, less insular.
And the winner is Seth Andrews.
Anyway, great call. Thanks for calling in on that, Terry. Let's go ahead and jump on to another call here. We're going to talk to Pat calling from Alabama. He's been waiting for a bit now. Pat, what's going on?
Hey, guys, I may sound like a man, but I am a woman.
Would you stop? You sound fine. Thanks for calling.
Well, I just wanted to call and Seth, I ordered your book yesterday on Audible.
Thank you.
My family is 24/7 Fox News, so I really want to find out the back part of it.
My parents are the same way. We took them some food a few weeks ago and we sort of handed it through the door, and we disinfected everything. But it's just a given. When the door opens, Fox News is like another resident in their home. It is always on almost 24/7.
It's so funny. Oh, I'm so sorry. Keep going.
I'm just saying, that is their primary conduit for information. It is the lens by which they see the world. And they are missing out on so very much, because you and I know that there's a much bigger world out there, and there are much better arbiters of truth out there than Fox News.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to comment, I just realized, there's always the stereotype of the atheist with like the Fox News kind of parent, but there's also the stereotype of like the pastor with the atheist child. So like, I don't know, maybe it goes both ways there. There's some sort of, there's some sort of
what's your end zone with the book? You're wanting to sort of understand their thinking, or are you going to like is it a Christmas gift for your parents? Because I guarantee you they're not going to read one word of whatever you give
Oh,
them.
no. It is for my ears only. I got it on Audible.
Okay,
'cause
that's
I have
right.
a
That's
hard
right.
time reading,
Audiobook.
But yeah. My mother is 89, and she thinks I'm some kind of magic person because when I go see her, she wants to see pictures of all of the guests or all of the hosts on Fox News and their families, and I will get back at her and show her CNN instead. And she just really, that sort of upsets her. But anyway, are you guys still there?
We're still here
Yep.
and listening.
Hello?
Still here.
Okay. All right. What I was wanting to ask about, or I guess talk about, I've been in really since 1995 questioning my faith. I started out Baptist, went into the faith movement, moved into the Pentecostal, spoke in tongues, sang in tongues, really thought that I had something exclusive that really none of the other Christians that weren't as spiritual as I was had, since I could manifest something. And I really had to stop and rethink everything. I mean, I know that I realize looking back now that it was something that I did manifest myself so that I could be like everyone else in church and not be embarrassed that I couldn't do what they were doing. And I now, what I have realized when I meet people, or see people that I went to church with, and of course they ask you, you know, where you're going to church and if you're still how you are with the Lord, blah blah blah. I feel like I've gone through a really bad divorce, and I still have to see the idiot every day. I have to drive by, you know, the old church. I have to see the friends, and I've realized when I try to tell people that I no longer believe like I believed, that they really hear me saying, I don't think you are doing anything that's real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Totally. I think in some ways, though, I was just going to say, you know, in some ways that might make sense because, you know, they might see it as a rejection since you were also a believer at one time and now you don't, you know, that it almost, the implication is there like, oh, I don't see things the way you do anymore because I think you're wrong. Like, even if you don't say that, I can see how people can come to that conclusion and maybe kind of put off by it, right?
Right. I think it's I guess a reaction that I guess I should have expected that instead of me saying I've been freed from something, I'm telling them that they're bound up in something and that I believe they're full of shit. And
yeah.
I don't. I don't.
Well, Pat, you know,
I don't really.
You got an uphill climb, Pat. You're in Alabama. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you're going to be able to do about that. There is a desperation by people who I think hold an insecurity about their belief. They have a desperation for nonstop validation, which they are used to. Everybody in their circle, at least verbally, overtly, publicly, they have the veneer of belief. This is a reinforcement mechanism. So all of a sudden you come along and let's say you're using really unobtrusive language. And I like to use the word I a lot. So if someone says, well, you know, where do you go to church? I'll be like, well, you know, I'm not a religious person. I've sort of gone through a journey in my own life. And I've sort of come out on the other side of the God question. I don't have a God belief. You know, I use the word I because my goal is not to put them on the defensive. And my goal is not to try to have that argument or do even street epistemology. They asked me, I answered. But because I think many people hold a deep-seated insecurity, they need constant validation. Maybe they need someone to help them secretly convince themselves. They need constant reinforcement, and you are not that. So that has to be fixed. Oh, wait a minute. Now we've got to, you've got to validate, you've got to validate, you've got to validate. And there are a lot of reasons I think people do what they do. Maybe they genuinely harbor a hell belief. Maybe they're just jerks, and so they won't accept anybody who has a different point of view or a differing opinion. But there's only so much you can do. I mean, you can't control the perceptions and the behaviors of other people. My only advice to you, and I know it will never be easy in Alabama, my advice to you is remember that your journey is about you. So when you drive by those people, we see them as best we can, many of them victims of bad ideas. We see people who don't understand, they're not listening to the data, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they have an opinion about you that is not all that flattering. But, they don't get to determine who you are. They don't get to tell you what your identity is. They don't get to determine your hopes and dreams and boundaries and family and philosophies and value system. All that is uniquely you. They can never take it away from you. And so my encouragement would be when those moments of sort of conflict happen to remind yourself, you know what, my journey ain't about them. I'm going to be true to myself. I'm going to be me at the temperature that I choose, at the volume I choose. My life, my journey remains about me. That has helped me in my own life. Okay, Pat?
That is true. That is very true. I'm a hairdresser, so I have to sit with a lot of people for a long period of time.
I bet you hear a lot of bullshit, Pat. I bet you hear
there's a lot of Jesus. A lot of Jesus in that hair salon.
Especially now, Trump and, and all of a sudden, and I'm 63, and in my life, all of a sudden, I can decide what I believe. I don't have to worry about what they think. And I don't know. I've been flooded with so much as far as just in my own thoughts. Now I can think about this. I can think about evolution. I can think about politics. I can think about abortion. And it's so, when I try to talk to someone, I find myself trying to say so many things at once because there's so much in me that all of a sudden I can let it out. And I just get, I can't even talk hardly. So I just shut up and let them talk.
Well, it's probably like choking. You're listening to a lot of that. You probably feel like you're choking on the toxic smoke of a dumpster fire. I mean, it's all around you, and you're like, I just can't take it. I understand that frustration. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do for you there, but be reminded that, and this is the audience of this show, of my show, of communities online, even there are atheist groups. I spoke at an atheist group in Alabama. It was interesting. A lot of people showed up. They were totally on the down low. Like if my spouse knew I was here, if my parents knew I was here, if my employer knew I was here, I could lose my job. I could lose. I get it. I understand what you're going through, but there are more of us every day. And I think if we can get over the hump of the next few years, we're going to see the increase of non-religiosity in this country bear some real fruit and hopefully make that easier for all of us, including those of us who live in the South. Okay.
Oh, very, very, very true. Thank you all so much. That's all I wanted to ask.
Before I lose you real fast. So you're a hairdresser. I'm starting to get like a more gray than brown, like it's turning into an ash gray. So I want to know, what can you do for me? Like, what do you recommend?
You can pray.
Oh, damn!
All you can do.
Damn! Oh, Pat, you're bringing it.
Brutal.
You're bringing it.
It's pushing on men. On women, it's horrible. So just be glad you're a man and
Thanks, Pat, for the laugh.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you for that. That was great. God damn. Oh, she brought the heat.